Regional School District School Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, November 21st. This meeting will be broadcast to Channel 22 as well as live streamed and recorded to the MRSC YouTube channel. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. We are going to adjourn to executive session. We'll take a roll call vote to adjourn pursuant to MGLC 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. Regular open session to resume at approximately 6:30 p.m. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Schiff?
Aye.
Ms. Bratlaw?
Aye.
Ms. Henderson?
Aye.
Ms. Rogers?
Aye.
And Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. We will adjourn to executive session at 6:01.
Drink it and then. Very cool.
Good evening and welcome back to the school committee meeting. We are back in session at 6:30. I would like to make note that we have two members who have joined us. Mr. Clark and Ms. Rose are now in session with us. Next, we would like to welcome some new members. Maggie Powers is our student representative on the Monomoy Regional School Committee. Welcome, Maggie. Happy to have you. And we also have student representative Jason Hello? Am I saying that right? Hello. All right. Come on up.
Hello, back here again, third time now. So, for you today, I'm just going to kind of go over the past month since I was last year. So when I was last year, we were kind of just ending October, Halloween was coming in. That was really great, and I mentioned Monomoy Writes, which is the student newspaper and creative writing website that we have, and those two clubs, the Bite and Sanskrit, which are very important clubs here at Monomoy, Sanskrit especially with the Creative Writing Magazine. They had their first edition, their October edition, with a bunch of articles and poems and stories that came out from students. So that was really important. And then just in a few days on Monday, we're going to have the November edition come out. So 2 editions already, it's kind of crazy. But we're kind of going right into things. So that was really important to mention. And then also towards the end of last month, on the 30th, the school held a student versus faculty kickball game to support breast cancer. I think they do that pretty much every year as far as I can remember, but it's been a really great event to have. It's all to raise money, and a really cool thing to have for students to kind of, be part of something, play a little game, and, support an important cause. And then to really end up the month of October, Sanskrit, as I already mentioned, we do our yearly visits to the elementary schools, Chatham and Harwich, to read our fall stories that we write and illustrate. I believe I told the many stories I've had and the really great time that it is, but I'm excited to say it was really fantastic this time around. Some fantastic stories, a really amazing event, again, seeing the kids and it's really hard to put into words how important it is to do it, but it's a tradition in this district, and it has been for a long time. And I'm very grateful that I was able to join on it this year again. And I think it's a good way to end off October for pretty much everyone. Then we kind of hop into November. A lot of things happened in November. The first thing that comes to my mind is Credit for Life, which is a event for seniors that they hold here at Monomoy Regional High School that is mainly just to kind of teach them about financial literacy and understanding how expensive it is to live life, It's not cheap these days. So it's sponsored by a bunch of local organizations. Cape Cod 5, I believe, is a big part of it. And they kind of come in and they lay out booths in the gym, and I personally got to experience it myself this year. And it was very helpful in kind of seeing how my life after high school and even just beyond may look like a little bit. And it was a really impactful event in that way. I'm very grateful that we had that opportunity here. And I think hopefully most of my peers would say the same. Then we go into something that I personally also went on, and that I'm sure some of you may remember when teacher John Dixon would have proposed it, the DC trip. Very exciting. I personally went on it. It was the first time I ever went on an airplane. The furthest south I've ever been. So it was a really cool experience. It was from November 10th to the 13th. And we saw everything you could possibly imagine in that city. I mean, going right at, not too far after the election, going to Washington, D.C. was a very interesting experience. Very formative experience, truthfully. Went to many great museums, Smithsonian museums, the Air and Space. We went to the African American History and Culture Museum, which was really cool, and very important at the same time, both of them, truthfully. We went to the National Archives, saw the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. We went to the Supreme Court and saw stuff, and took a Capitol tour. I mean, everything you could possibly imagine. And just seeing civics and democracy in action. Like, truthfully, the most immersive experience you could get, especially if you are an AP government student, as to which that is what the trip is for mostly. But I'm very thankful that I was able to go on it, and I'm very thankful that the school district and that the school allowed such a trip to happen, because, like it can kind of be seen, it really does open up the doors for many students who maybe didn't have such an opportunity to do so independently, but doing it as a school trip and being there with my friends and both having a fun time, but also really learning some truthfully, like, important stuff, you know. Just was really impactful, and I'm very grateful for it. Then we roll into the November 14th with Puffs, the play this year at the Monomoy Regional High School that was put on by the theater company. It is a play that is like it is a spoof, essentially, kind of Harry Potter, like a little adjacent, but it was a really fantastic production. It went on that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3 nights. I personally got to go to the show. Really amazing to see the hard work and the creativity of students here at this school, and the amount of dedication it really takes to just act in those. And I mean, the set and the costume design and everything was truly masterfully made, and they do a really good job. It's really immersive. Really no better words to really describe that. It was really cool, and I've been to their past performances. I've seen the musicals, which of course there'll be one coming up in the spring. But I would highly recommend checking out any of their shows, obviously. And I would say it's a really cool thing that we have such programs and such opportunities here to kind of seek out the more creative side of things, especially in theater and acting. And it was a really enjoyable show. Props to them. So, what else? We, I know that teacher Lisa Forte Doyle, she recently had a Vietnam veteran come in and visit during JOSM. It was just a little kind of experience that she held, and brought in First Lieutenant Neil Dolan, and it was just really good to have obviously a very important person, a veteran, come in during this month, of course, with Veterans Day, and seeing and hearing about the experiences of being in the military, as to which many students may consider that career path going forward. And just a really interesting experience. I did not personally attend it, unfortunately, but I did talk to some people who did, and they said it was really impactful to hear some of those words and really kind of get a grip on how difficult but also how rewarding that life can be. And then we go into many of the volunteer opportunities that happen here at Monomoy. The Interact Club is huge in that. Specifically tomorrow and Saturday, we are kind of continuing something we did where we did a winter clothing drive, collecting winter clothing, and we're donating it to this program, Street Reach, and they give out the clothes during like breakfast on that Saturday. This Saturday, they do it I think once a month, and it's a really cool thing, and we get to volunteer for that as well. So I'm doing that tomorrow and Saturday morning. I have to wake up at like 6 o'clock and get there at 6:30. So, but I'm doing it, and we'll be able to handle all the clothes and many more clothes that were collected for them, and that's a really just great experience itself. Of course, volunteering is very important in building kind of who you are as a person, and it's really amazing that we have a club and just therefore, in a sense, I guess, programs and the ability to do so as students in the school. It really builds who you are as part of the community, and it's really cool that we have an opportunity just like that one with Street Reach, but also we do many, many other volunteer opportunities here, and I know a lot of people who take part in them because they feel as though, they're giving back to the community who has helped them so much and, really has been a place where they've grown up in. So I'm very excited to take part in that yet again. I did that last year, and it's really cool to have Interact Club, very impactful club here at the school. Then we'll just get into sports. I'm not a sports person, unfortunately, but I do know that rather recently they had the winter meet coaches night. It was the 18th, I believe, and then football beat Atlantis Charter 20-14. So good job on them. Unified Basketball completed their season undefeated, which,
Wow.
I mean, hey, yeah, that's pretty sick, I gotta say. And then field hockey, unfortunately, they lost to Uxbridge 3-1, but they made it to the MIAA D4 state finals in the first
Yes,
place.
for
So,
the second year.
you know, I think that's good enough right there, honestly. That's really fantastic for them. And then the Fall Sports Awards Night is happening very soon, Monday the 25th. And that's really about it. That's all I really did the research on for. But I just know in general that the sports in this school are very strong, very good. And I'm always very interested to see, especially the big wins and, you know, kind of seeing how everyone does. Sports are really important. People really love sports. People really love taking part in them. That teamwork, that camaraderie, that sense of, you know, maybe you win every once in a while and you lose every once in a while, but you kind of learn lessons along the way that are really impactful. And I know that sports are very important to many people. And I appreciate how well our school does in them, but also that we might take a loss every once in a while, but we always build back. So, then I guess I'll really just wrap it up here. I don't want to take too long here. A little later on, kind of going to the future, on December 10th, Tuesday, December 10th, there will be, that's incorrect entirely, sorry, that's the wrong. I'm talking about the 14th, that's my fault. The Holiday Bazaar at HES, which I don't know why I'm mentioning it for the high school, but I am volunteering there, so, you know, I think it's important. Yeah, I thought it was really cool last year. I know it's an important tradition at HES, and having student volunteers from MRHS kind of come back and do it, especially if they experienced it as a kid there, really just fantastic. So there's a lot of great stuff coming this month as well, and I'm excited to report again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. I have one question, and I could have totally missed it in what you said, but did you talk about the drama club? Have they done a play yet this year?
Yes, so the theater company drama club, they did do a play this year. It was Puffs.
Puffs, okay.
It was from the 14th to 17th.
Okay.
So it was, unfortunately you just missed it, but it was very good.
But we don't know what's coming next yet.
So Mamma Mia is the musical they're doing in the spring. I don't know exactly what day, but it's usually in March, first 2 weeks or so.
Cool.
So that's very exciting. And then, of course, if you're interested in any of the concerts they do here at the school, I know that the winter concert will I don't know exactly what day, but that'll be happening in December. And they have the alumni concert in like January, and the spring concert, the Pops concert. There's a lot of fun performances, whether it's theatrical or musical, that they do here. And I always enjoy personally attending them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you say alumni concert?
Yes.
Oh,
Our meetings are 11:39.
really?
Yes, they bring back people, and people come back here, and they all play together. It's really cool.
How long have we been doing that? I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, apparently it's been going on for a while.
Wow. Okay.
It's great. It's great. Thank you so
Alrighty.
much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the November 7th, 2024 meeting and the November 14th budget workshop. Do I have any questions on the meeting, on the minutes in the packet?
Should we take them separately or together? Separate, maybe? Because we had one, might have an abstention. And an abstention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. All right, so we will do them separately, but any questions? Do we have a motion
So moved.
I will, okay.
for November 7th?
Oh, okay. November 7th, yep.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? It's for November 7th. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Opposed? Did anyone abstain for November 7th?
Everybody good? Okay. Oh. Are you abstaining?
Yep, I'm abstaining.
Okay, yeah.
You're from the 7th?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the November 14th budget workshop meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Great. Thank you very much. Moving on to public comment. Do we have anyone here tonight for public comment? We do not, okay. We'll move on to reports and discussions and the MRHS Greenhouse Startup Check-in. Aubrey.
Hi guys, my name's Aubrey. I was here at the end of last year to introduce a project that I was working on, and it was to get a greenhouse back over in the garden area. And so I just wanted to update you guys on what we've done and what we're thinking for the future. And I've been working alongside Miss Police for this. So we started researching different styles of greenhouses, and we came to the conclusion that a hoop house would be a good idea for like a test run. And they last around 10 years. They're a lot cheaper than a built-in one. They're pretty easy to assemble. They're more viable and have less risk. So for like the first time we're using a greenhouse, it would probably be a good idea to use something like less permanent and a little bit cheaper. So Miss Police visited Tech's greenhouse, and I visited Nauset Middle School's greenhouse. And so I got a tour of the greenhouse and talked to the teacher there, Mr. Burkett, and he told me about hoop houses because he thought that it might be a little bit easier for us to do instead of a big installation like they have, because it's a lot of maintenance and it's super expensive. So we started researching different companies that offer hoop houses. The current garden layout, in case you guys haven't been out there, because I hadn't until I started doing this, there are 3 rows, which the outside 2 have 4 garden beds, and then the middle one has 2. And in the middle one, there's like space that's just open, so you could put like potted plants there, like right now we have those. Yeah. And then we started looking into Growers Solution, which is a company based in Tennessee that manufactures greenhouses and nursery supplies. They carry a lot of greenhouse kit options that are like installation, like easy to install. And so we thought that that would be a good option. They have a bunch of positive reviews, and they offer a 10-year warranty on all their greenhouses. The only exception with that, like the small print, is that since they don't offer installation and we have to install it ourselves, we just send a video once it's done, and then they ensure that it's installed correctly. So they ship greenhouses, and we would just need to accommodate a semi-truck trailer that's 70 feet long, but I feel like for where it's going, we have a pretty big entry. So it would probably cost around $1,000 to ship, since it's coming from Tennessee. So these are a couple locations that I thought would work for a greenhouse to go in. This is covering the first 2 rows. It's kind of hard to see, but and so with that, since the middle row has open space, there'll be space for a table and like potted plants. So this one's 32 feet by 40 feet. And the greenhouse kit itself is about $4,700. The end wall kit, it would ensure that like we could have a door instead of just like a roll-up thing. And so that would be about $675. And the roll-up sides would be helpful in the summertime to allow for ventilation, and those are about $67 each. And then a storm door, so that we wouldn't have to like roll up every time we want to go in, would be about $500, just depending on where you get it, because they don't offer them through the Grower Solution, but you could get them just at any like local store. And then the freight for this one would probably be around $1,000, which would bring the total cost to about $7,200. But that doesn't include installation or like pots or seeds. But we wanted to look into installing, like seeing if installation was possible with our facilities. Thank you. And if not, we could look into a local handyman or something like that that could help. And then the second location would be a little bit smaller, and it just covers the middle row of garden beds. So it would cover 2 garden beds in the ground, and then would still have the open space. This one's 32 feet by 20 feet, and the greenhouse kit itself is about $3,000. The end wall kit, again, is $335, and then the roll-up side is $67 each. And then again, the door, and the freight is a little less expensive on this one, around $800, which brings the total cost to about $5,000. So this one's a little bit cheaper and a little bit smaller if we just want to do it as a test run. So the next steps that Ms. Police and I are going to be doing is determining a funding source. And so Miss Police requested $5,000 in her budget for next year to go towards the hoop house and all the supplies. And then we also want to determine collaborative partners around the school, like clubs and teachers who would be interested in using it in their curriculum. And then we need to consider how to install the greenhouse, whether that's a handyman or just with our facilities. That's all.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Jackie?
So you're, so you're thinking that if this can all happen, like installation would be summertime, like starting for next year, or earlier than that?
Probably for next year. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, yeah.
I speak on, this is wonderful, and of course, I would go with the big one. I just have one question, and I don't know if you are able to clarify it or not, but I just noticed that the end wall kit for both of them, the large one and the small one is $334, and the large one's $673, which makes sense to me, because
Right.
one's larger than the other, even though the ends are probably both the same size. But the roll-up sides are the same price for each.
Yeah, I think that's because the length of the roll-up sides are the
Doesn't
same. Yeah, I don't think that changes.
Because the roll-up sides obviously would be longer on the big
Right,
one than
yeah.
on the small one.
Yeah, I
So-
did, I was wondering that too, but on the, I looked for both like kits and it said that they were the same. So I think that's
Just curious,
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could be like, hey, guys.
Right, yeah.
Why are you charging me?
Yeah.
All right, great work, really great work.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brad.
Thank you. So the total cost for the second one is $5,000?
Around there, yeah.
All around there approximately. Is there anything else other than I saw seeds and everything like that? Just because budgeted or proposed to put $5,000 in the budget, does this preclude, though, being able to do the other one, the $7,500 one? What happens if that was the best one to go forward? How would that be funded if that's not in the request for the budget?
I could probably do, like, since it's like probably like $3,000 extra, some fundraising myself or like raise a team throughout the school, like teachers or clubs that would be involved with it. I know the Environmental Action Club, Climate Action Club, thank you, is interested in the project, so they could definitely help. Yes,
Okay, great work in terms of detailing the cost
you.
on the different options.
thanks.
Yes, very, very good work. And I'm curious, building off Brad's question, is there any, maybe think about funding sources outside of the school? I'm thinking of the Harwich Garden Club and the Chatham Garden Club. They might be interested in supporting this in some way, whether it's financial or with their help in putting it together or whatever. So just things to think
Right,
about.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Anybody else?
Excellent job.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Next is the student trip to Italy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, nice to see you. Let's keep the spirit of positive, exciting things alive and talk about Italy for February 2026. I have last come to you pre-pandemic as a middle school Latin teacher going to Washington DC, and I come to you now as a high school Latin teacher with bigger kids and bigger ideas. Let's go to Italy. Why not? Ms. Police and I have been using this change of scenery for me and change of staff for her to look at a few different companies, and we've landed on ACIS, American Council for International Studies, for a packed, exciting educational situation. Will you help me? Got it. Thank you. As always, for the whole population of Monomoy High School, we are hoping travelers come back more confident and feeling like citizens of the world instead of this, we can say sandbar if you want, Miss Police. I was going to say country. Practice resilience. There's going to be problem solving and language barrier and new situations and uncomfortable stuff happening, and I want them to try that in a safe and fun way. And I'm also motivated as a Latin teacher to bring students who regularly ask me why I teach a dead language to their closest interaction that they'll ever have with the ancient world. And I want them to keep taking Latin. So the trip highlights 8 days, two travel days, and 3 days to start in Sorrento area with everything that I'm very excited about. Visiting Pompeii, which is sort of the Latin 1 curriculum setting, and taking a boat trip to the island of Capri, which is like the Nantucket of the area, and seeing the Villa Jovis, which is a former emperor's like Cape House. Let's go there. It's ruins. It's free. Let's climb to the top and see it. And then in Naples, the Archaeological Museum to see all the ruins that were in Pompeii, the real ones, because in Pompeii it's fake, and in the museum all the real stuff lives now. Then we'll drive up to Rome and see everything you'd want to see in Rome, the Colosseum, the Forum, Pantheon. For a cultural, artistic perspective, the Vatican, and for some of our students, a religious experience as well, the museum and St. Peter's Basilica. And then we'll take a day trip to Rome's port city. We are a maritime community, and it would be a shame not to visit Ostia, their port city. I should say at this time of year in 2026 in Milan will be the Winter Olympics. Thankfully, Milan has their own airports. We're going to be fine in Rome and South. But there will definitely be some energy in Italy, and we'll get to be part of that. The Olympics will be ending right at the end of our trip. Wow. I'm excited.
That's great.
A little bit about ACIS. They're based in Boston. They're a little older than I am. They're flexible. They're easy to work with. Yeah, I'm giving it away. It's okay. They sold me on the fact that, this part of Italy, Sorrento, is a lot like the Cape in February. Some places stick a poster on the wall and say, we're closed for the week. But these people who will be with us already have plan B, C, D, all the way to Z in their head. I feel really confident that they can navigate us through whatever situation we come into. Our contact has been doing this trip, planning it for 19 years in Boston with Massachusetts schools. I trust him, and their proposal was packed. I looked at 3 different ones. Theirs had what I felt in Washington, D.C., like go, 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 every minute, seeing something, doing something, making it worth it. No free time, no tourist stuff. Let's get to the good stuff. The part we've all been waiting for, the cost is around $5,200 a student. That is commensurate with the other companies. They include absolutely everything you could think of: tips, travel, fees, and a very expensive but very worth it insurance plan to the tune of $440 a kid, which lets us cancel for any reason for a full cash refund up to 4 days before departure. The only thing you wouldn't get back would be the insurance cost of $440. So you'd be getting $4,800 back. No travel vouchers, no calling the company and fighting, just here's your check, sorry you couldn't make it. In the 15 months between now and February of 2026, we can make monthly payments. Every kid gets an automatic link that they can send to their family, and their families can post online for direct donations. And once we get our group, we can talk fundraising per their interest. We're looking at 1 MRHS staff member per 6 students. Maybe not only high school staff. We're looking at a dedicated tour director for another adult who will be with us. And we're looking at a company that's constantly looking at global threats, foreign policy changes, what's best for schools, and all the things that keep us up at night. I ask for your consideration to let us go. Don't make me stay. And thank you very much. Questions? Ms. Henderson?
Just with the insurance, so it's not the group, right? So if one student couldn't go for an individual reason, they could back out and have the same?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. It sounds fabulous. I mean, if you need someone non-staff, just
Do you
let me
speak
know.
Italian?
Just
I
let me know.
tried that last year. It didn't go well.
Go ahead, Jackie.
I'm sending around the fine print of the insurance policy, just for record's sake.
I did get the insurance. My daughter got into Italy last year. Thank God we didn't have to use it, but as an insurance agent, had to do it. Just a question, because we've kind of been up and down on the tour companies. You know, Jen knows what I'm going to ask. Why ACIS instead of EF? It looks like a similar trip. It looks about $1,000 more, but that could be cost is changing. So just curious.
So when you look at the number from EF, you're not seeing tips, you're not seeing this insurance plan, and when you add that in, it is pretty close. You're not seeing several excursions that are already included in this one. And once I started à la carte adding everything I wanted out of this trip, it came to be about the same.
So the 52 includes the 440?
It sure does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I know, I think last year they had to have a certain amount. It wasn't a lot, but just to include the tips in there.
Already included, thankfully.
Yeah. So that was my, and otherwise, if they're parallel, we've dug through EF so much that I think we're comfortable with them. So if they're the same, then would have no issue. Is this any different than the EF tour as far as locations?
Same two areas.
Same two
Definitely a
areas.
few extra things in here that
Okay.
EF was not able to add into the itinerary, like the port city, Ostia, and outside of Rome.
Yes, I think they added actually some while they were there though, which was cool.
Add-ons.
Yeah, I know, bonus.
Well,
Grades.
Yes, and.
No, it didn't cost them anything.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Grades.
Grades.
Who's allowed to go on the trip?
Oh, yes.
I'm happy to take whoever would like to come. My Latin students are mostly 8, 9, and 10.
Okay. So
As
it's
of
open
right
for
now.
8 through 12.
I mean,
Just curious.
I would love for 8th grade to be invited in a couple of years when I come back to you and ask if I can go again. So if they don't make it this time, they can come next time.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds great. By the way, if you need anybody, I took 3 years of Latin, I can help translate to the Roman Colosseum.
5 years.
Second.
But anyways, how does, so the total trip, I didn't see a total dollars on here.
5212, 5215, 5200,
Right,
5215.
5215.
right. How does that compare, and just, I'm wondering, how does that compare with previous trips?
This is my first year at the high school.
Okay. Did anybody know how
Great
does that
question.
compare with? Very similar. It's similar? Okay. Have we, and again, did we, maybe I missed that, but we've gone to Italy before?
Yes.
Okay,
This past February.
okay, all right. And everybody, and the feedback was, I think maybe we saw.
We took some feedback on free time and scheduling and location of hotels, and we've used ACIS as a district, and when I was in high school, that's who I traveled with to Greece for my first trip, and now I stand here a Latin teacher, so I think it works.
Nice.
Wendy Weedy Weeky.
Right? Thank you.
So really quickly, because obviously there's a lot of interest for adult chaperones. So my question, two things. My question is, how is that paid? Is that, so if a chaperone goes, the trip is covered, correct? Is that part of this?
One adult is paid for every
For every
student.
student?
Yep.
And how do you determine if you've got everybody raising their hand? Is there a process?
There is,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
We
You
start
don't-
with our like a world language department, and then we go out from there.
Okay, all right.
If there's too many people, we go to a lottery.
Ah, okay, that's good to know. Thank
Are you putting your name in?
I might, you never know. And that'd be a lot of fun, too.
And what about the students? So my big concern has always been in the classrooms that I've gone to when these tours are being presented to parents, and everyone's on their phone signing their kid up and putting down their deposit. For those kids that don't have the money, they can't sit there and get that spot in that moment. And I feel like if there's anyone who wants to go who can, it needs to resource, what's it, the Lighthouse Fund? They may miss out because they don't have that money in hand to save that spot. How does that get worked in?
I mean, we've never had an issue before, so we use the Lighthouse Fund, which will support students that can't deposit right away, so we usually do that.
So someone would notify you guys and you would hold a spot? Okay, great, thank you.
Good question.
So
Yeah.
last year,
Just add.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh,
you
okay.
added, because Betty and I think both our kids went last year, and when we went to the parent meeting, by the next day, there was a waiting list. And I remember feeling really like, oh my God, I need to sign you up so you get on the list. But so even though there was a waiting list, everyone who wanted to go got to go on the trip. It was like,
Fantastic.
cool.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Any other questions?
I was just going to point out that I needed to have this trip and do the presentation a year ago because I did this trip with my kids right at the end of the school year while I was rehabbing my leg.
Oh, wow.
And it would have been nice to know that there was a funicular at Capri and not have the superintendent walk half a mile up a flight of stairs with a bad leg, only to find out like just before you get to the top that you can see the funicular come up. And I'm sitting there going, it's like, oh my God. So there are lots of things here that I wish I would have had a little heads up on before.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
I also highly recommend having every student be on a high-speed train between Naples and Rome, pinned in with a non-English speaking Italian grandmother that made for tremendous international experiences for my daughter in particular.
Great.
Do you, our next meeting isn't until December 12th. Is that okay to wait till then to vote? That's not too late? Okay.
No such thing.
Well.
Italian time.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
Anything else?
You want me to say that? Do you want to vote tonight or do you not?
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah, we.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Relations with Non-Public Schools, Cape Cod Christian Academy. Welcome back, Dr. Waters.
Consistent.
Just gonna have to clean the jack over here. Is this the top?
Yeah, so we're going to get her.
Sorry, to go over here. Okay. There you go. All right.
It's this little guy, the bottom.
Thank you. All right. Do I need to take my height into account? All right. Thanks for having me back. I'm Dr. Tracy Waters, the head of school at Cape Cod Christian Academy. And I've been in education for about 15 years as a school teacher before I went into administration, and am licensed in Massachusetts for both teaching and administration. And I did my 500-hour practicum through Nauset Public Schools, so right here on the Cape. So love it. Thanks for having me. This is sort of our overview of tonight's presentation and just trying to go through some of the things that you need in order to make your decision. And there we go. So we are located in Harwich as of July of 2023. We rent the education wing at St. Peter's Lutheran Church in Harwich. We are recognized as a private school through our University Model and Cognia accreditation. In Massachusetts, the law is that a private school located in a town is required to seek approval from the school committee of that town. And while it's in the hands of the committee, they do provide those suggestions, which I believe your committee took into account last year and revised your policy a little bit. Specifically, they would like for the school committee to approve a private school when satisfied that the instruction and all the studies required by law equals in thoroughness and efficiency and in progress made therein than in the public schools in the same town, but shall not withhold such approval on account of religious teaching. So, in essence, we're looking at the instruction at Cape Cod Christian Academy being equal in thoroughness and efficiency to that of Monomoy School. The superintendent and delegates did come on November the 12th, and I have submitted a response to the checklist. Yep. So just an overview, here is our certification and accreditation. You will also find that as addendums in the packet that I put together for you. We are certified through the University Model Schools and accredited as a 5-day private school through Cognia. They accredit over 40,000 schools and institutions in more than 85 countries. So we've met the standards for Cognia and NOMS, which is National Association of University Model Schools. We also have a membership with ACSI. Our curriculum is rigorous and aligned per our certification requirements. Our math is aligned to the Common Core. Our science is aligned to the next generation science standards. Our social studies is core knowledge, which is also aligned to Common Core state standards. Language arts is our different parts of it, grammar, writing, and those things are aligned to Common Core state standards. We do have a classically inspired literature approach, though. I'm not quite sure about all of that alignment, but I know that it is rigorous. Visual and performing arts, we have art and music each week for our students, and as far as world languages, we offer Spanish across the school. Grades 4 through 8th get Latin, and grades 5th through 8th get Logic. We also have physical education. We also offer after-school enrichment classes, very interesting ones, I think. Botany, which is like wild edible weeds, marksmanship, that's slingshots, photography, knitting, chess, pottery, drums, drawing, calligraphy, and even Legos. We'll just call that engineering design. So we hope to keep our students enriched here in the district. We have a professional staff. We do staff development. With our staff, we do 2 full days before school starts. We honestly meet all throughout the summer as well. Do a lot of one-on-ones. Together, we meet for 1 hour each month. We get our professional development, a lot of times through each other in our own specialties, through Cognia, our accreditation company, through the Association of Christian Schools International, the University Model Schools International. We have specialists that come in, especially when it comes to our beginning of the year training, like CPR, first aid, choking, EpiPens. So we do have specialists that come in and give us those types of trainings. And then other vendors that are specific to a teacher's certification needs, or renewal needs. This is sort of the overview of our hierarchy. So I'll have a board of directors that manages our school. Then it's me, they hire me, and then underneath that is sort of our operations and grants manager, our different classroom teachers, specialist instructors, volunteers, and then as well as our parents. They have the roles of paraprofessional at the elementary level, more of a supervisor in the middle school, and a mentor at the high school, per our university model. We place equal emphasis on academics and character. We hold very high standards of excellence in academics. My doctorate is in curriculum, so that's one part that's really important to me, to be rigorous. It was a non-negotiable. For all of our record keeping, we use Praxis School, so all of our attendance tracking. Last year I pulled a report, our attendance was 94.8% was our average attendance through the year. We do our grades, transcripts, demographics, accounting, communication, medical, and they can order special lunches or their spirit wear through that. We have a spot on our website where the parents can sign in. As far as student services, we do not have a nurse on staff, but we do have our staff that we do beginning of the year training in EpiPens, allergies, first aid, choking. We also do our mandatory reporter training. We do plan to add a guidance counselor once we do reach high school grades. Right now we are kindergarten through 8th grade, so we see the need for that, especially when we add high school grades. And our board of directors sets out our policies, including discipline, in our family handbook. As far as financial support, we are governed by the board of directors. We have a treasurer that goes through and sets our budget each year to make sure that we operate in a surplus. We have each year. We also have a certified public accountant that I meet with each month, and they check through our account. And then at the end of the year as well, they do our tax filing. We have 3 accounts currently, but I think we need a PTO in now. May have to get a 4th one. But a general account, a scholarship account, and a building and equipment fund account. When it comes to assessing how well we're doing things with our students, especially with the instruction and effectiveness and thoroughness, we do DIBELS reading assessments at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. We do Acadience math assessments beginning, middle, and end of the year. And then our norm referenced one at the end of the year that's sort of comparable to the MCAS would be the California Achievement Test, where we measure various things like the reading, spelling, language, and math. And so that's at the end of the year for grades 1 through 8. I try to compile some data. So these are general composite scores at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. I put up kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to show the progress in our students, and we're very proud that they make very good progress in their reading. And here's just a sample of some of the data that we can collect from the California Achievement Test. So not even looking at what this is, just showing that we can see the different parts of their language, their math, their reading, and see where they fall on the scale. We use this data in order to make decisions about where they should be placed. As a university model school, our courses are very independent, so it's like 2nd grade math, 3rd grade math. So when a student tests at a level, it lets us decide whether they need to be placed into a particular math class per their level. So that's how we use the data for that. Here's a little bit more about that. And just a refresher on our model, which I know is new for many people. It is set up like a university. Students are on campus 3 days a week. They are in the they're in the central classroom, I should say, on our main campus 3 days a week. They're in our satellite campus or their satellite classroom 2 days a week, and that is an extension of our school. Both classes are under the direct supervision of the professional educator, and the academics meet or exceed local state laws that govern education. One of the things that's so important to us about this model is it's research-based. The more parental involvement we have with our students, the more student success we have. The university model provides quality, cost-effective. We're able to keep the cost more reasonable for families for getting a private school education. College preparatory education, it gives parents more time for imparting their own faith and values to their children. We are Christian schools, so this is also very important to us. How are we different from other models? There's online asynchronous, where students complete their work online at any time with no set class meeting times. There's remote, very similar to like the TECA Connections Academy, where the classwork happens in an online classroom with scheduled meeting times. And then the hybrid, which is a blend of online and in-person learning. Cape Cod Christian Academy are neither of those. We are face-to-face or in-person learning in all of our campuses. So it's 100% face-to-face, no online component. It's either our professional teachers that are doing the instruction with the students, or it's the parent or the tutor, or what's happening on the satellite campus, but there's always someone face-to-face with the student. When I look at how it compares to homeschool, the university model is on our main campus and satellite campus. The homeschooling usually happens at home. The university model, the school chooses the curriculum, whereas when homeschool, parents choose the curriculum. The university model has a professional teacher planning the lessons. With homeschooling, the parent's the one planning the lessons. The university model meets or exceeds state standards, and with homeschool, the rigor is up to the parent. The university model has peer interaction and collaboration, whereas the homeschool offers more one-to-one time with the parent. And then finally, the university model is a parent-teacher partnership, and homeschooling is where the parent is the teacher. There were questions asked last time about where this takes place, and so we did a survey of our families, which we actually love to do, and it's fun to see the responses. 95% of our families have held or hosted satellite days at their home, a friend's house, or a family member's house. 37% have done their satellite days at the library, 21% at a park, 10% at a tutoring location, and 16% at Cape Cod Christian Academy. So these are some of the locations where that instruction can take place. A few testimonials. One of our students wrote they love Cape Cod Christian Academy because they can spend more time with the family, learning in different places. They like the books and things we learn, and they like how it's a Christian school. Got two parents. One of them said, on satellite days, our satellite days are nurturing and supportive. And another one said, on satellite campus days, our daughter is learning excellent time management, research, and study skills that we know will serve her well in college. I love this model because it not only teaches responsibility and taking ownership of your education, but it also allows her more time to explore subjects that interest her without the time constraints of a typical school bell. I think that's what's special about our model. Our mission is to develop children with active and creative minds, a sense of understanding and compassion for others, and the courage to act on their beliefs. We focus on the total development of each child, intellectual, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And we feel like that some of the things that we've really highlighted that we've met with our cognitive accreditation is a culture of learning, leadership for learning, engagement of learning, and growth for learning. I believe that is oh, there we go. I have a little bit more. All right.
Here's some other things that we feel are the benefits of a university model. Independent learning with our students getting time management and study skills. In-depth learning where they're learning research skills and experiential learning. Strength-based learning, which meets the students at their level and they can advance if needed. We do have students that, for example, when we do math assessments, we might find that they may be a 7th grader, but they're not on a 7th grade math level. So we may move them down to 6th grade math. So that's like a course they would be registered in. They may do really well on some of these assessments, and we realize that they're above what they're learning in the 7th grade. So then we would actually advance them to the next 8th grade math. So we have students that are at lots of different levels, but it's where they need to be. We have courageous learning, which is risk-taking and learning from mistakes. I think with the parental involvement, it really helps build that safety with our students. Values learning, especially important for our school with character, emotional intelligence. We have a character trait each month that we like to highlight. And then collaborative learning, which is developing some of those 21st century skills. Some of the things that have changed since you last approved us, we added an 8th grade. We added weekly kindness kids, so they get nominated by their peers, and 2 of them are published on our bulletin board each week, and then they get highlighted in chapel and they get a certificate, and that's like our weekly assembly time. We added 2 half-day teachers, 1 for kindergarten. There's kindergarten and 1st grade together. In the morning, there are 2 teachers in there because they're doing differentiated for math and for their literacy. The afternoons are where they can come together and do art, music, Spanish, their social studies, things like that work really well for a combined class. We did the same thing for 3rd grade. So 2nd and 3rd grade are together, but there are 2 teachers in the morning and then 1 in the afternoon that does some of the things that they can do together. We added an operations and grants manager, a middle school math teacher that comes in and helps differentiate instruction in that class, a monthly multicultural story time, and several after-school enrichment classes. And here's a little bit more information about us if you want to explore more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions? Meredith?
Just a quick question, and I apologize if you said it already. Are the teachers that work at the school licensed through Massachusetts Department of Ed?
Great question. Some of them are. I would say probably half of them are, but they're not required to be. In a private school, we don't have to have the licensures, education, things like that, but we do have, about half of our teachers are licensed in Massachusetts.
So the ones that aren't, do they have an education degree?
Some of them do, but they're not required to. So private schools are not held to the same standard when it comes to the licensures and degrees and things like that. But almost every one of our teachers have at least a bachelor's degree. The only one that doesn't is in her 3rd year of early childhood education studies. So we do value that.
Thank you for the presentation, Doctor. So right now, you have kindergarten through 8th grade?
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, when are you planning for high school?
So right now we've been adding 1 grade level a year. So we started off K to 4, and each year we've added a grade level. So we're looking at adding 9th grade next year.
So I assume there must be some students who have gone from the academy to here.
No, we've never actually had, we keep adding a grade level. So we keep them, so our oldest ones, we just keep adding that grade level, and then they continue. So we haven't yet had one that's like graduated from us to come here.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I just had a question. I like the student parent testimonials. It's always so cute. And one of the testimonials made me think about last year at our presentation, you'd mentioned that the model enabled families to travel, give them more flexibility for travel because they could also like learn on the road, like teach on the road. Because one of the kids said, because I spend more time with my family learning in different places. So do you feel like you still have a lot of families utilizing that flexibility to travel like out of traditional school breaks? Because they can remotely work, I guess, essentially.
I think that especially here on the Cape, we have a lot of families that own businesses, and all through the summer, they're just working. So this model does offer that flexibility for them to go and do the winter trip. They can continue with their education. They don't miss a beat. It just means that the days that they would have been on our main campus, they're being educated on that. I would say I don't see it very often. We have families that do utilize it, but not as much as I would have thought they would have.
So there's no restriction for how much they actually have to be in the classroom?
Yes and no. So, like, they can't say, I'm going off for 6 months, see you later. If they're saying, we have a 2-week family trip, we plan ahead, we make sure they have the copies, they have all of their materials ready, so it's planned, so that we can support them. And then when they return, we're checking through, seeing how they did. If they've missed assessments or things, we're giving the assessments at school on campus, at the main campus.
I'm going to ask a question, and it's just curiosity. The attendance number that you gave us, is that the 3 days on the campus? Because how do you do attendance for the Monday and Friday?
It is for the 3 days that are on the main campus. The Monday and Friday are when they are at the satellite campus doing their work, so that attendance is, they're there with their parents. But we're tracking the attendance that we have on the main campus.
Gotcha, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brad?
Just looking at some of the data, in terms of the reading scores, they're very impressive going
Thank
from the
you.
beginning to the end in each of the different grades. What do you attribute that to?
I think the small group environments, the parental one-to-one at home, they're just getting a lot more support. Even in our small group, in our small classrooms, we still have like breakout sessions where a volunteer is working with a group of 2 or 3 students. So I think maybe the classical literature, they're being pushed a little bit more sometimes. But I really do think it comes down to the involvement from the families and the teachers.
Jackie?
Sorry, I had one more question. Let me speak on. I know where the church is. I've never been in the church. And I'm just looking at the access. My question, I have 2 questions. One is handicap accessibility. Do you have students with special needs that need that? And then also, on the same line, what do we do for students that have IEPs?
Great question. As a private school, we're not required to service IEPs or special education. We do have some students that came to us with an IEP, but they were on our campus and they were getting serviced at their public school, maybe on that Monday or that Friday was part of their servicing. We have students who do very well that are neurodivergent. They do very well in this model. We have a student right now that I have referred to the Monomoy school system for evaluation for special education. So I think we work hand in hand with the local public schools, but we don't ourselves provide the special education services, other than probably a lot of the accommodations you would normally see on a 504, small group environment, the extended learning and testing time. So I think we're a lot more flexible there, which makes it a good fit for some, but we're not a good fit for those that we can't service or we can't offer all that they need. In many cases, the public school is a much better fit.
And how is that handled? Like, how is that handled on, I guess, it's an application, on an application basis?
We do an entrance test where we find out where they are in math and reading. We talk to the parents. We get records from schools if there's things like IEPs, and we look and see what specifically is on the IEP. Is it something that we can do and serve the student well? If we can, great. If not, then we probably let the parent know, I don't think we're going to be a good fit because you would get a better fit maybe in a different school that has special educators and people that can service that.
And the same for children with physical disabilities?
I haven't had one that has come yet. We do have at our school. I mean, there's a handicap ramp on the lower level that can come in, and then it's smooth. They have upstairs where you can come in and come down the elevator. So there's options, but we've not ever had one apply.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just a couple of questions. So under administration with the primary parent roles, is that all parents or is that parents coming into the classroom?
Nope, that's the parents when they're doing their satellite days.
Okay.
So these are their roles. Elementary students require a good bit more hands-on teaching, instructing, supporting. So I would call that more of the paraprofessional role. But as they get a little bit older, you're starting to be more of a supervisor, like how are you doing? This is your lessons for today, and they check in with them. Hopefully by high school, they're more of a mentor, and we're getting ready to launch them and have prepared them really well. Our middle schoolers are pretty independent. They do very well, looking at their lesson, asking for help when they need it. We have, different supports for them if they need more, like video instructions for math and stuff, but I'm really impressed with how independent they are by the time they're in middle school.
Okay, that's great. And one other quick question, if you don't mind. The photos that you shared, so these obviously are from your school, right?
Yes.
So I'm just noticing a couple of, adults here. So these are parents or?
I'd love to tell you about that picture.
Okay.
So the gentleman in the back, he's a 91-year-old Korean War veteran, and he volunteers with us. So these gentlemen are Cory checked, but He also has another former military man. They come in and volunteer with our students and spend time with them once a week playing chess.
Okay, good. And you said they were Cory checked,
Yes,
correct? Okay.
all of our teachers, everybody that works for us or that volunteers with us, anyone that has any type of one-to-one interaction with students or even possibly could, we do Cory check.
And that would apply to parents who come in to volunteer?
Yes,
Okay.
even
all right.
parents.
All right, thank you.
Actually, I have a follow-up to that. So is the church during the day a shared space?
Some parts of it are. The education wing is not. They do have, in the mornings, we have access to the fellowship hall, we would call maybe the lunchroom. In the afternoons, we don't go in there on the days that they have Bridge Club. One afternoon a week, we do go in there. There's nobody else there, and that's where we do our music classes. But it's not shared at that time. So we don't cross over into the shared space. There's times that we have access to it, that's our time, and then there's times that other groups have access to it.
Okay, and restrooms, same thing? Are they just specific to, or?
We have assigned restrooms that are assigned to us, and then they have some that they use that are on the other side of the entrance door.
Just, it was coming off the Cory, like,
Yeah,
what's the
absolutely.
interaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, really.
Thank you for your
Very
questions.
informative.
And
Thank you.
your thorough feedback.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are moving on to the sabbatical request. And do we have anybody?
Is this you? Oh. Are we just voting?
Well, I don't know if Evan's here.
I can just chime in. As you know, Erin Hoffman was here last school committee meeting to discuss her sabbatical request. By contract, we have 90 days to respond to her. We waived the initial timeline just to make sure that Erin had time to get in here and make the presentation. So on a typical year, the way our contract reads, the person would submit by October 15th, and 90 days out from that means that in January 15th, we'd have to give a response. And administratively, even if we think back to the budget conversations we were having last week, middle of January, we don't have, sort of a understanding of where the budget's going to, land. With this request, we'll have to make a decision, or you'll have to make a decision as a school committee by February 5th, I think, is the 90 days out. And again, it's still, on our end, I think we probably won't have guidance from either or both towns as to what sort of percent increase we're looking at, just in terms of just the budgetary logistics behind this. And I'm happy to answer any other questions folks might have.
Go ahead, Brad.
Doctor, would that be the situation, aside from this, because this could be the first time this is requested, and it could happen quite a bit, all the time. Is this always going to be the situation, given the time in terms of the request versus looking at the budget, just giving the time parameters of that?
The answer is yes, because the contract language really specifies what the timeline is. Mm-hmm. We'll call it an unfortunate timeline, given how, when the individual is required to request, and I definitely get it. You want to know that there's a request before you go into budget season. And I think the unfortunate piece of it is that 90 days from October 15th puts us in a weird, puts us sometimes in a weird place, because we don't have budget certainty. In fact, I think by the beginning of February, we still haven't gone to the select boards to present budgets and get feedback from them.
The hard part too is, even if you try to be proactive and say, can we get it into the budget for even the next fiscal year, it's still the timing of the request versus when we know where we're going to land. It almost seems like an impossibility for us to be able to make that answer, because we don't know the budget until it's passed in May. So I'm not really sure where we go, because we don't have an answer until it's,
It's not going to be able to be based upon the budget.
and we can't make a promise that we can't commit to, right?
Are we prepared to make a vote tonight?
Well, I leave that up to here. It is on the agenda for a vote. Was that potential vote? Okay. Jackie?
This is the first time anyone's, in, I think, the district history that we've had someone request a sabbatical.
Right.
Do we have a policy? I know we have what the contract is, but do we have a policy on sabbatical? Because, and this, not about this specific one, but my brain goes to, do we have a limit on how many can go on sabbatical every year? Like, do
Exactly.
we have a budget item where there's a, how much we can allot to sabbatical potential? And this is, like, again, not applicable right now in this situation, but moving forward and thinking, as a committee, if these are going to be, if this were to be approved, it may spark interest in the opportunity that this could happen, and so I want to be proactive about that. I think my comment and feedback, just my reaction after last week was, it took me by surprise, because we've never had one before, and I've been on for 9 years. And when I think sabbatical, I think college, I think professors. So I wasn't in the right frame of mind to think about the need, in my experience, either working private or public. And I know we have a lot of teachers here in our district that do or go back to school outside of their job hours. They do it at night, they do it during the summer, they do it online, which is definitely more prominent now. And then when the practicum experience comes, that would be probably, in my opinion, a more practical request to bring in a temporary substitute for that time period, unless their practicum could, and/or if their practicum could be within the district. One of the other unique parts of this request was that it's not specifically a position, if I understood correctly, that we have now. And I don't know if that is something, I know Melissa mentioned that it may be something we do have in the future, but for me, I'm struggling with, and of course, I want to keep our teachers, but I'm struggling if we don't have that. We've given the opportunity, if we give the opportunity for someone to go have a sabbatical, but we don't have the position, we potentially could lose a teacher. And I don't want to put the position into place just to keep a teacher as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many struggles on what the right and wrong thing to do is. So, and I think my last comment is that it's a lot of money to hire a full-time teacher. And my worry about the budget is that, we've had at the very end of budget season been like, what are we slashing? Like, something's got to go. And $100,000 is a lot of money, and when it comes down to the needs of the students, which is what we're here for, and then the other asks, and for our, our principals and what they're asking for and what the town needs, it's a big amount. So I'm a little apprehensive.
Brett?
Yeah, and just in terms of what Jackie was talking about, in terms of whether it was online, as I recall, I think she was talking about last time, that still, even online, just the amount of hours she was going to have to do was going to be such a burden that she wouldn't be able to fully be able to fulfill the teaching duties. But in terms of, potentially, that this is one this time, the next time it could be 5 or 6 people, and then, we're trying to determine then not only about the sabbatical, but also is determining who would be the one that would get it, because obviously I don't think we're ever going to be able to have, multiple opportunities like this, but it does create, once doing it, there would seem to be, it's never been done before, but they would most assuredly be interested in doing it.
Sure.
So I guess for me, my question, because this is an investment, so we're making an investment, or that's the way I see it. And my question for an investment would be, what is the benefit to the school district? And I'm not clear on what the school district gets for $100,000. So that's, that's how I'm looking at this. I agree with Jackie. I think we probably, given this situation, it's been the first time we've seen it, I think we might need a policy because I can see other people coming forth. So I think if anything, this has given us an opportunity to look at another policy, but also to ask the question, this is an investment. So we're investing $100,000, and what is the benefit to the school district? So if we had a position ready to go, I think I would understand that, but it sounds like we don't. So what's the benefit?
I was just going to point out that in the contract language, it does have provisions, or it does ponder what if you have multiple individuals who apply. So there's nothing in the contract that says there can only be one or there can't be more than 5, but there is language there to provide some guidance on how a committee would go and decide of the ones that they have, which ones might they want to fund. So it's one of those, I don't know necessarily that you need to have a specific policy for how you'll go about mulling this or future ones, but it's an interesting one because, as I think mentioned last time, even the 2 other school districts that I've been involved in as a teacher and as an administrator had language for this, and now 32 years in schools, only twice has anybody, this and one other time, has anybody ever applied for the sabbatical. So it's not something school committees often wrestle with.
Couple things. I think once the ball starts rolling, the ball's going to roll.
Right.
So that was kind of where my comment is coming from, because once you can see that there's a model that you don't have to do the night school and spread out getting this degree over 2 years, which is what the typical person does, and because they still need to work, and you don't get the benefit of keeping your job and your salary and continuing your education, at least in this model, that's difficult and can be very frustrating. And I think we do need to have something as a school committee, because I think we need to look at, and maybe we need to look above that. Is our district a model that can support sabbaticals? Is this institution, can we support sabbaticals? Are we in that position? And I think, Scott, you kind of just pointed to, this is not a typical thing that a school committee for a high school has to have a conversation about. So it opens up a lot of questions, and it opens up a lot of holes that we have because it's new. And it also opens us up to exposure of the opportunity that would avail for others in the future, and how we handle that. Once you do this, you're going to set a standard. And I've never gone back to school while working. My mother did. So I've seen it in action, and I know a lot of the other teachers in this district have done it. It's just it's what I would have to do if in my job. I would have to do it nights, weekends, and extend out how long it takes me. So I caution moving forward with it.
Right.
On the other hand, why do we have the policy in there in the first place if it's something that no one has ever done, and then we're extremely concerned from a budget standpoint that somebody has now wanted to do it? Now we're talking about what are we going to do if multiple people do it. So why is there a policy in the first place?
It's not a policy, it's in the contract.
Or a contract? Why is it in there why is it in there in the first place?
Good, sir.
I would say it's in there because it was in there when the district first came together, and in order for something to come out of a contract, it has to happen at the bargaining table. And while I'm not sure your legal counsel when it comes to contracts, if I try to channel the district's legal counsel, I would say that I don't think necessarily that you can develop a policy on this without actually bargaining with the union. Like, you can't go and say, okay, I'm going to come up with here's how we as a school committee are going to apply this contract language. I think that really, needs to have full faith vetting. And I also know that I think some of the dilemmas, if I speak for myself, and I think probably mirrors a lot of people's thinking on the table, I think we're all here to support professional development. Like, we want to see our teachers have professional development. And there's the challenge that it's a lot of money, and we know this year it's a challenging budget year, and we're not even fully done having the budget conversations. And we have to go and provide an answer before we're going to have budget clarity. And there's the dilemma we're in.
And I would just echo that, this is a really hard position to be in, because I think we're all really good people, and we all want to support the professional development. But the hard answer is declining it. And it's hard to be in the public face declining it. And it's hard you're kind of doing something to someone. But for me, I look at the much larger picture, and I look at all the things that we need to afford and pay for and do. Maybe we don't need a policy. Honestly, I think we lean on policies because it gives us parameters so that it helps us say yes or no. So there's no parameters to this. Mm-hmm. It's just, it comes to you black and white, yes or no. And it's merciless, and that's not our intention, which is going to make it a really difficult vote for people, because it's not our intention to deny someone access. It's kind of like not what we do. So, it's definitely a struggle, but hard votes have to be taken, so.
Ryan, did you?
Yeah. And again, I echo these guys. I'm all for higher education. I applaud it. I love it. But this is a dangerous, slippery slope. And I'm just not in favor of it. I won't be supporting it. But again, I applaud her for going for it, but it's a slippery slope.
And it's just a tough call because we don't have an answer for a budget until May. So do we want to vote tonight? Do you guys want to take time to think? It doesn't have to be voted on tonight, or we can. Is everyone pretty comfortable with where they are? I see. We take the vote? Okay. Oh, absolutely.
No, it's just, like Jackie said, we're all good people, knowing everybody on this committee, and I know that we all want what's best for all of our teachers and our families. I really applaud her for going for more opportunities to better herself and which would ultimately better our kids. And I've been sick about this vote, knowing that it's coming, and I'm sure a lot of us are in that position because I want to support it, but knowing what this budget is starting to look like and not knowing what else might come up, it really makes me nervous approving it because we've been so great and so responsible, and a lot of that is Michael and our great administrative staff, and so, yeah.
Meredith?
And I think just the other piece of it is that, it's wonderful that she wants to go and get a reading specialist license, but there's no guarantee, there's no guarantee that there will be a position in the future, and there's no guarantee that she'll get that position in the future. So I think it's just, there's so many variables and there's so many balls in the air, it's hard to support this at this time.
Sure. Fred?
Having gone through for the first time, going through the whole budget exercise, certainly what I saw was you've got to determine what the priorities are, and based on need. In terms of, aside from the professional development that she would get, in the end, I asked myself, is there not saying that there's not a need for this, for her, in terms of this specialty to help the students, but where does that stand in terms of all the other priorities and needs? And I don't know, but we have to decide we would have to decide before the budget, and then we're kind of forcing it, and we're making that decision before the whole process is out. And that's, with any budgeting that I've ever done, that's always, I always find a problem with that.
Can I just follow up? Yeah, I think I just, when I go back to what I said about benefit to the school district, I think and I know that she was talking about professional development and she would come back and I guess share her experience, but it would be different if she was going to learn something and then she's going to train everybody else. Maybe that's part of this, I don't know. But it's like a train the trainer or something like that. Again, I'm going to go back to benefit of the school district. So I'm not arguing that this isn't good for her and probably her students, but I look at the whole and how does this benefit the school district? And I guess that's where I'm coming from. So I just wanted to clarify that.
And just the other thing, Tina, that I would say is the benefit of the school district versus other benefits that we need to address.
Right, exactly.
Over that.
Yep. Anything else?
Are you prepared for a motion?
I'm prepared for a motion.
I will make a motion that we deny the sabbatical request by Mrs. Hoffman.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions on the motion? It's to deny. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? It's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. That was a tough one. Computer concurs. The next item is our fiscal year 26 budget workshop recap.
Oh, my gloves will be better.
Michael's like, I guess I'm on.
Chit chat.
Welcome to the meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Michael McMillan, School Business Manager. We had a budget workshop, and we heard from the principals. They presented their needs for the FY26 budget. And the next steps will be coming back in December to present our first draft of the budget, which will include a summary of the requests from the principals and a number of other items that we know are in consideration for next year's budget. I'm right now working on going through each line of the budget and ensuring we have everything covered in there, and we'll present that all in your next meeting in December.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
No one had any questions, okay. We'll do the first reading of policy files BHE, use of electronic messaging by school committee members, IJND access to digital resources.
Madam Chair, there are two policies that we wanted to consider for the first read. The first is you said the electronic messaging. And what this is, from what I understand, goes a couple steps further to regarding the school committee in terms of putting up the safeguards and the guardrails in terms of communication, particularly on social media. So the policy committee felt that this really kind of nailed shut all the potential issues that there could be a problem in terms of communication for the school committee that would be inappropriate.
Any questions on this policy? Okay.
And the second one, very simply, is stating, in terms of digital resources in schools, just having reasonable access for students, employees, and community members. I think it's very, reasonable access, and this kind of articulates something that should be stated.
Jackie?
I actually just have a question on file BHE. The third paragraph, members should use electronic messaging between and among members only for housekeeping purposes such as requesting or communicating agenda items, meeting times, or meeting dates. And then it says electronic messaging should not be used to discuss committee matters that require public discussion under the open meeting law. So that drew my attention, that last sentence, because often we'll get an email that says not for email discussion, but it includes all of us on it. And it's not, it is an agenda item, but it's context. So I'm wondering if that falls under this category, or if we need to further specify.
But wouldn't that, when it says discuss committee matters, but we're not actually, we're getting it, but we're not sending any further emails out about it?
We're not
There's no
discussing it.
discussion.
Discussing it.
Right, so I'm wondering if that needs further clarification, like, so electronic messages should not be used to discuss committee matters. Do we need to put anything in there that says anything more formal, like all correspondence should be not for discussion, or I don't know, I'm asking.
Tina, did you?
Yeah, just because open meeting law allows, particularly the chair, or I guess it does allow a sharing of information, you just can't discuss it. So in the case that you described, it's a sharing of information, something that we need to take with ourselves, think about, process, bring it back to the meeting. So there is an allowance in open meeting law that you can share information, but you can't have a discussion outside this meeting.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to put anything in here, like how we preface the email with not for email discussion. Or is that insinuated, I guess is the word?
Inferred.
Inferred?
Inferred.
I think it's, I would
If
just
it's
say.
inferred, if everyone's in agreement, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's inferred. Again, I'm thinking of all committees, the town committees that have been on before, because this is the same kind of issue, not being able to discuss it. But the information had to be shared.
Yeah, and just, I've learned over the years, it's good practice to just have like a big bold reminder.
Right.
If I'm sharing something, because occasionally somebody will accidentally reply all.
Right.
And nobody's done that in recent history, but but you don't want to be in a situation where somebody replies all and the next person replies all. But if I send you something and you have a question, definitely reach back out to me individually for clarity or to understand, to get more information. But there's a lot of times where if you're the superintendent, want to go and apprise the school committee of something that's happened or something that's important, and I just kind of, we'll generally start it in big bold letters, just saying not for email discussion, just trying to have everybody remember just that we don't want to be discussing online because the discussions happen here at the table.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I mean, again, open meeting law, particularly as the chair, or maybe even the vice chair in the absence of the chair, there are things that happen where we've got to come into a meeting and there's information that we need to have in order to have an educated discussion. So sharing of information is fine, it's just we can't deliberate, and that's the whole reply all and blah, blah, blah. So I just want to make that clear. So we can do, so it doesn't matter, I mean, I guess if we want to make that clear, that's fine, but open meeting law is open meeting law. Anybody can go and pull it up and read it. Right. But sharing information is allowed, but no nothing that can be perceived as deliberation. So.
And you think that if we added that to the paragraph, that would just be redundant because it says open meeting law?
Yeah, I mean, personally, open meeting law is open meeting law, so we can't really change it. So anybody can go and pull it up and read for themselves what it means, but if we want to clarify it, we certainly can.
And it was just on my first
Right.
impression of
Right.
looking at it, that it stuck out to me, so.
Right.
And again, I just want to emphasize, like, if I send something like that, any of you are more than welcome to pick up the phone or email me individually back, but it's not to be a group discussion.
Which is the whole intent of this whole thing anyways.
Right.
Like guardrails, whether it's social media or anything at all.
Right.
Any questions or discussion?
Let me see, I wanted one comment, and I'm trying to see which one this was. I think this had social media too. Yeah, and that's another thing. I think this is a good policy to have, because I know in the past, particularly with social media, so if somebody makes a statement, and I go in and have a response as a school committee member, and Jackie goes in, and the Meredith goes in, and all of a sudden we got a quorum going on, and we've got a meeting on Facebook. So I think this is an important policy to have, so that we all kind of understand, because we could get ourselves in trouble.
That's the example I used in our policy sub-meeting.
That's true. Yeah.
Tina, that may become more of an issue
Yeah.
than any of the others.
Yes.
I think we all know that you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
supposed to respond and have any
Right.
type of communication. But the social media thing can be still more like the Wild West.
It is,
when
yeah.
People can start getting into.
Yeah, and you gotta be careful, because and I'm sorry, because there are folks out there that are very well versed in open meeting law, and if they see there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, we got 5 people, and they can report us for an open meeting law violation.
Right, and the fact is that when we're being sent communication, we know, we get it.
Yeah.
We understand. But you're on social media with all the different posts, you may not even know who's on it at the time.
Right.
So, but somebody will be watching and they will.
Yeah. Yep.
Just don't engage. All right, anything else? Okay, so we'll bring those back for a second reading at our next meeting. Next on the agenda is the approval of the MRHS Young Women's Club donation to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
Hey, good evening, school. Michael McMillan. So we have a number of donations from student activity accounts requested in the agenda. So we've done these recently in the past. They seem to be building up a head of steam. So we've got a few of them. And this is students' money, so really it's up to them how they spend it. But the state's advice is that school committee approves it, just to make sure everything's on the up and up. So this first one, there's a memo in your packs with a motion. Any questions?
Jackie?
Can I just list them all? Can I read the motion and?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think it's important to read the motion because I want people to know and the public what we're doing, but instead of like what's in your packet, but can we do them all as one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we do it?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, you do it.
Okay. Motion to approve the donation of $110 from the Monomoy Regional High School Student Young Women's Club account to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. To approve the donation of $279 from the Monomoy Regional High School Student Activity Spirit Club account to Cape Cod Healthcare Foundation to support breast cancer patients and survivors. To approve the donation of $200 from the Monomoy Regional High School Student Activity Animal Welfare Club account to the Animal Victory Charity. To approve the donation of $6,516.51 from the Monomoy Regional High School Class of 2024 student account to the Monomoy Regional High School Lighthouse Fund Activity account.
Nice.
There's one more?
Well, the last one's up.
Oh, that's not it. Okay, great.
We have a second. Tina, thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I just have to say that last one makes me kind of proud that class of 2024 is donating over $6,000 to the Lighthouse Fund. That
Very nice.
is pretty awesome.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So the motion passes. Thank you. Checked quite a few off. We have subcommittee representative liaison reports, nothing there. Superintendent's report.
I'd like to first thank Chatham Bars Inn for hosting our Chatham Elementary students for a Thanksgiving luncheon this week. It's a tradition that dates back to the time when Chatham Elementary School didn't have the ability to offer hot lunches to its students. Congratulations, Nancy Gifford, one of our middle school science teachers, who was honored with the David Byron Award by the Massachusetts Association of Science Teachers, an award given to the MAST board members for outstanding service to science education. Congratulations to our middle school robotics team, which competed in the Cape Cod Fall League VEX robotics competition. The middle school sent 2 teams to compete against a field dominated by high school teams. The novice team finished 15th place for skills and 20th overall. The other team finished first place among middle school teams and 8th place overall. They earned 5th place in the skills competition, beating all of the middle school teams, and the teams will compete again later this season. Yesterday was also Educational Support Professionals Day, a time to recognize the hard work and contributions of those who keep our schools running smoothly, including administrative assistants, instructional assistants, custodians, technical staff, school security officers, bus drivers, and transportation staff, food service workers, and Health and Student Services employees. So thank you very much for everything you do. And lastly, we had our field hockey team. It was nice to go up and see them compete for the state championship. You know,
Second time in a row.
You know, yeah, second year in a row. And while it says that here the score was 3-1, I like to think that with 3.5 minutes in the game, we were in it. And then they scored the third goal. But congratulations. It was a great game. And this year, compared to last, we were 3.5 minutes to go. My adrenaline was really going. So
Could I
next
comment
year.
real quick selfishly?
Yeah.
My niece Samantha is the only person in Harwich or Monomoy High School field hockey history to score a goal in a state championship.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Very cool.
Selfish plug.
That's great.
That's great.
That's all? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Last item on our agenda is the approval of a previous year invoice.
So, hello again. So this is not the same as our previous, I've been here a couple of times over the last few months because we've had bills left over from our invoices from FY24 that we needed to use FY25 funds. This is actually relates to an FY21 invoice that, I know. So we had a contract with an IT company to provide us some services. And the idea was that they would get part of their payment through the E-rate fund, which is a federal fund to provide reimbursement for schools and libraries for technology costs. So we get pre-approved for it for a certain amount, and then the vendor submits their receipts to the federal E-rate program, and they received $3,200 less than they thought they were going to get, and less than we had told them they would get. And so we are now on the hook to make up the difference. And it's just taken a long time for that all to work out. So they contacted us a couple of months ago, and we went back, and we've been going back and forth to work out exactly how much we owed them, and this is the final amount.
Quick question. In a case like this, I'm assuming it's encumbered funds, right? So, or was it?
No, so this is coming out of FY25 funds, that's
So
why it
it's gonna
requires
hit,
your
okay.
approval.
All right.
Because we didn't know, because we would not have encumbered it because we didn't know
Oh,
we
you
owed it.
didn't, okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the payment of the $3,290.70 toward an FY21 invoice from Wally Computer Associates as presented to the school committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have got the presentation of the warrants. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. 8:08, we are, sorry. All in favor? Aye. 8:08, we are adjourned.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.